This is CBC Here and Now.
Not just hiring of doctors, but also retention of doctors. So we have to find ways to make sure that those who are coming here are not overworked.
Well, the NDP went west today, looking to hold on to the seat in Labrador West. We'll also take you to Clarenville and Grand Falls-Windsor as the Liberals and PCs continue their campaigns. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We begin tonight on the Bonavista Peninsula, Police in Catalina are on the hunt for a man suspected of assault and kidnapping. Early this morning, the RCMP issued a shelter in place for the community of Catalina, telling residents to stay away from windows and to lock their doors. It was in relation to their search for a 31-year-old man wanted for assault, kidnapping, uttering threats, and running from police. The shelter-in-place order was lifted a few hours later, but the RCMP is still looking for the 31-year-old suspect. Well, now to the campaign trail. With the departure of the NDP's Jordan Brown earlier this year, his seat is now up for grabs, which means Labrador West will soon have a new MHA. The New Democrats paid a visit to the area today to drum up support for their party. Here Now's Daryl Din brings us that story.
For 6 years, Jordan Brown held the seat in Labrador West for the NDP. Brown stepped down, and Shazia Razi, a Wabash councillor, has stepped up.
We have a problem with not just hiring of doctors, but also retention of doctors. So we have to find ways to make sure that those who are coming here are not overworked, burnt out. So, they don't have to take a pay cut and move to other provinces because they want to live here. They want to have a family here.
Jim Din is no stranger to Labrador West. He knows how much the region contributes to the province.
Well, it's interesting. It sort of got reinforced in the two conversations I had with people today at breakfast and when we were at Tim Hortons. So very clearly, the travel in and out of here is a major issue. Just for if it comes down to getting to visit family on the island or the cost of getting medical care. The lady I met at the hotel was basically saying, "Look, it's cheaper for me. I can go cheaper into Quebec City, than I can to get to St. John's."
Another worry Razi is hearing at the door is the cost of medical travel and the fear of Lab West becoming a fly-in, fly-out mining camp.
MTAP is a huge issue. Fly in, fly out is another big issue here. Housing is another big issue.
They do not want the seat be turned into a fly-in, fly-out resource extraction project. Yeah. For them, then, that means an investment in housing, an investment in affordable housing, and an investment in making sure that air travel, especially for medical appointments, that is affordable and sustainable.
Housing is a big issue here. Labrador West has a 3-bed emergency shelter.
Labrador does have an issue of homelessness, and we have been turning down people because the beds are full. Now we have 4 more beds available, which is empty because we don't have funding for that. So we need to have the NLHC move ahead, give the funding for those 4 units.
Some of the announcements from the NDP today included a 40-unit seniors residence here in Labrador West, significantly improving the MTAP program, and repairing the 5th water bomber to help wildfire response. The NDP say they have now a full slate of candidates and are ready to form government. Daryl Din, CBC News, Labrador City.
Well, the Liberal campaign is promising to fix problems with Crown lands. Leader John Hogan was in Clarenville today, where their local candidate has spent his career fighting for changes. Peter Cowan explains.
The Liberal campaign has come to rural Newfoundland for the first time during this election, promising to solve an issue that can affect a lot of homeowners. It's around Crown lands, and it's complicated, but the problem they're trying to address is what happens when someone goes to sell their home only to be told by the government that they don't have the proper documentation and they don't actually own the land. The candidate for Clarenville for the Liberal Party, Greg French, has spent his career as a lawyer trying to sort out these problems. In fact, that's the reason that he's gotten into this campaign, to try and improve the Crown land situation. What they're promising is a set of standards, that if lawyers are able to meet it, that it will automatically be accepted, no longer having to go to court, and a much quicker process. French says it's something that can affect a lot of people.
If it's a legitimate claim, if you can prove your claim, if it's existed historically, if you've been paying taxes, we are looking to certify the title over to you so that you can clean it up yourself. You will own your land under this plan. It's intended to be quick.
The Liberal leader is also a former lawyer who dealt with cases where government fought people over the ownership of their land, and he knows how frustrating it can be.
I dealt with this issue many times, and I know the frustration that families have felt. I know the anguish and confusion they felt when I had to tell them directly that the land that they thought was their great-great-grandparents' land would now cost them thousands of dollars to get title in their family name.
The problem is unique to Newfoundland and Labrador, where there's no central land registry system. Instead, they rely on documentation going back generations and affidavits signed by seniors in the community. And French says there are ways to make it easier.
I myself have taken on dozens of cases, and I have dozens of cases before the courts, where the only party objecting to someone's land title is the government of Newfoundland. The community recognizes it, the town recognizes it, the neighbors recognize it, the government of Newfoundland does not, and that has to end. And that will end under this plan.
John Hogan is also promising to use Crown lands to solve another problem, the housing crisis. He says more of it needs to be made available to make it easier for people to build homes. Peter Cowan, CBC News, Long Cove.
Meantime, the PCs were in Grand Falls-Windsor today. Leader Tony Wakeham says if they win the election, they want to provide additional support for volunteer firefighters who respond to medical emergencies.
What we've found is a lot of these volunteer fire departments, they get a limited budget from their own communities. And that's to provide supplies, whether it's supplies for their defibrillators or medical supplies and basic supplies, but they quickly run out based on the number of calls they're getting. Then they will find themselves trying to go back and fundraise, to restock their equipment. The communities themselves, a lot of our small communities, do not have the extra money to keep providing those supplies and those costs to them and those equipment. And so what we need to do, if volunteer fire departments are going to be part of our first responders, then we need to make sure they're equipped to be able to do that.
This election, of course, includes 40 different districts, campaigns throughout the province. In central Newfoundland, two well-known campaigners are facing off in the district of Grand Falls-Windsor Buckens.
I'm Terry Roberts in Grand Falls-Windsor, where an oil-soaked driller turned politician is fending off a challenge from a long-serving mayor whose passion is curating nature trail corridors. And the knives are out.
I'm very disappointed that he would want to sit around a table of some people that have been cloaked in corruption for the past 6.5 years.
For the last 6 years, since Mr. Tibbs has been our MHA, it's been the town that's been doing the work.
Sniping aside, Friday was a big day for this incumbent. The PC party leader, Tony Wakeham, was in town, and there were election promises made.
I am here to say that we will fully fund the full operating cost of the Lion Kellen Hospice.
It's welcome news for Chris Tibbs, the man to beat in Grand Falls-Windsor Buckens.
So the fishery's about to go back. The fishery is about to go back.
He's fiery, animated. Social media is his megaphone. Before politics, he was a paramedic. And up until about a year ago, he was mixing politics and oil, getting his hands dirty for a few weeks each year as a driller in the Alberta oil patch. And steel-toed Tibbs will clap back against anyone who questions his dual duties.
My vacation time, whatever personal time I had, I went to Alberta, I worked my butt off, and I put my son through dance school.
Tibbs entered politics by knocking off a Liberal cabinet minister in 2019. He increased his margin of victory 4 years ago, and now he's back, looking for a third election win and hoping this time to be part of a PC government.
Hopefully, Mr. Wakeham has a cabinet position for me, and it's something I'm looking forward to.
But his opponent is no pushover. Barry Manuel was once a star athlete in this town. but he's matured into a community leader, having served as mayor for the last decade. And now this Liberal candidate is hot on Tibbs's trail.
He hasn't been present for a lot over the last 6 years.
And Manuel is not impressed with Tibbs's work in the oil patch.
First of all, I was surprised that it was even allowed to happen.
Like Tibbs, Manuel has higher political aspirations and is proud of his record.
Who's been advocating for the health care? Who's been advocating for public safety? Who's been at the table with the ministers and working with government to get infrastructure needs met here? It's been me.
Listen, we've done a lot of work here in opposition. Wait till you see what we're going to do in government.
So they're charging hard on the hustings in this race, giving voters plenty to choose from. Terry Roberts, CBC News, Grand Falls, Windsor.
Next month, there's not one, but two elections in Newfoundland and Labrador. On the 2nd, it's municipal. And the 14th, voters cast their ballot for provincial politicians. There are lots of issues and promises in the lead up to both elections. On the show I host, The Signal, we asked parents what's important to them. No surprise, childcare is a big one.
We've made really good strides in terms of advancing early learning and childcare and how available it is, but we know that there's still a long way to go. And so this is kind of really something that is on the top of my mind as we head into this election, just how crucial having access to high quality, inclusive, affordable childcare is for solving many problems. Really, it is multi-solving because it's about families' affordability, right? It's about the money that they have to put into housing, right? To support their own housing security. If they're not spending money on childcare, they can put that money towards other things that go back into to their family budget. So it really kind of touches on a lot of things, whether it's housing, whether it's food security, childcare is critically important.
Another thing that came up was spending and how decisions are made with respect to where money is going.
You know, we're obviously not in a good financial position. Yeah. But government doesn't, they acknowledge it when it's convenient, and then they skip over that fact when it's money they want to spend. Should they have expanded the highway from Team Gushu to the Southern Shore for $50 million? We're bankrupt, right? Is that money well spent? Talk to the people who tell you that it's going to cut 90 seconds or 2 minutes off of someone's commute and increase sprawl, which will cost us more money down the road. You know, we're not thinking smart. It's like, that's a political decision. It's not one that's based on like best practices. So do we have the money we'd like to have? No. But we have some money, and are we using it well? Also no. So we need to focus, you know, where the limited resources we have should go. And people need to, you know, splash some cold water in their face, think about like what is achievable and where's the best use of putting these funds.
And this mom says, just make your voice heard.
We can't be quiet. So we need conversations that happen. We need to show up. We need to keep reminding governments of what the accountability practices need to look like. And, you know, families are hurting in so many capacities these days. And what can we do to improve the quality of life for people?
Adam Walsh, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, a violence prevention group in the Gander area is taking its message to the trails this week. Signs are set up at Cobb's Pond in Gander, as well as trails in Gambo and Carmenville to help educate people on sexual violence. A partnership with the Gander Women's Center, the signs show statistics and other educational information on sexual violence here in the province. Listing resources for those looking for help, Samantha Abbott says sexual violence can happen to anyone, but attitudes toward it are changing.
People are more willing to talk now about things that are more vulnerable for them. I think we're raising a generation that is more willing to speak and be open with their family, with their teachers, with their friends, and I think it's fantastic that we're using language that is appropriate and proper, that they're able to identify if something happens to them, or that they can have open and honest conversations with people who they need to talk with.
Well, we've got a cold front moving through. Definitely some nice temperatures today east of that cold front, but a very different story in behind that. Those winds have shifted and the temperatures have dropped. It is snowing in parts of Labrador, or was snowing in parts of Labrador this afternoon. That will continue for those of you in Lab West through the day tomorrow. Much colder this weekend. Falling right into fall, which will officially arrive as we head through Monday. I will break all of your forecast details down for you coming up a little later.
Prime Minister Mark Carney's list of nation-building projects includes LNG, nuclear, offshore wind energy, and a high-speed rail line, among others. But major energy projects from this province, like Bay du Nord, Gull Island, and the Churchill Falls expansion, did not make the cut. We asked an energy expert for his thoughts.
If we look at the first five, these are projects that are more or less shovel-ready, they are at the stage where we can start building almost right away, in the sense that the assessment, the environmental, and other aspects that had to be somehow settled before starting to break the ground. Why, nothing came up from the Newfoundland and Labrador? Well, there are mining projects there too, but the main issue here was the Churchill Falls projects. Well, at this stage, we have a memorandum of understanding between Quebec and the Newfoundland government. And it's not so sure that the project will go ahead or that it will go ahead, in the near future. So if Mr. Carney had given priority to this project, basically, he will have somehow acknowledged the validity of the memorandum of understanding. That is, this is what is going to proceed. We are proceeding from there. Well, it's not so clear now, given the opposition in Newfoundland and Labrador, that we will proceed along this agenda. So I don't think that Mr. Carney wanted to be caught in a kind of position where this would have been seen as a pressure to proceed, mostly on the part of Newfoundland. So I think he did not want to be seen in that way. He shortened the list to projects again that are more or less shovel-ready. And this project is not shovel-ready because we don't have a final agreement. So I think that was the main issue.
And the other project is the Bay du Nord oil project, the proposed project that Equinor has not given the green light to quite yet. Why do you think that project was not included in the list?
This is a private capital project. It is a company from Norway, I think, that's going to develop this project if somehow we proceed. Thus far, I think there have been no pressure from this private enterprise to proceed. The price of oil has been fairly stable now for a few months or a few years. We had some movement when Russia got into Ukraine, but yet the war going on in the Middle East this time does not create any major effects on the oil price. So the oil price is stable around 65. It's not bad, but it's not great. And we know that when we develop projects of this nature, we have to look far down the road, 5, 10, 20, 25 years. So we have to have an idea as to how the price of oil will evolve over that long period. And we have also a lot of new oil coming on the Atlantic market. Brazil now is a fairly large producer, 3-4 million barrels a day out of the 100 that we produce. Guyana is a new producer now with about 1 million barrels a day, likely to expand. And the United States have a booming oil shale industry in Texas particularly, and their market is the US and the Atlantic area. And the Middle East that provide, about 30% of the oil is not short of oil. So why do, a private company will want to come up with a fairly high cost project in the market where we are not short of oil now, and we are not likely to be short in the few years to come. So I think there was no pressure from the private sector here to proceed.
All right, Ashley, time for a look at the weather, and we're in the final few days of summer.
Yep, it is the last weekend of summer out there. Fall officially arrives as we head into the afternoon on Monday. So the fall equinox is where we see essentially equal day and night. So we'll see that sunrise at about 6:47 rather, and sunset. Our first sunset, well, that's actually the second one because Sunday night will be our first sunset after 7 o'clock. So we are definitely falling into fall. We will feel that. We're feeling that already for parts of the island, thanks to a cold front that's moved through. Out ahead of that, still in southerly flow, mild, humid air this afternoon. But in behind that cold front, much colder air. Definitely the story up across Labrador. Lab West seeing its first snow of the, well, let's say the summer still, late summer anyway. But your daytime high in Lab West, 5 degrees today. And a very different story for central and eastern areas of the island. 24 degrees in Gander today, 20 in St. John's. So that marks the 81st time that we've reached the 20-degree mark. You can take a look at that big drop in temperatures, though, on the west coast, down to 12 degrees right now in Corner Brook, and it is still humid out there. Gander feels like 26, St. John's 18, but feels like 24. With that humidex. So taking a look at what's going on right now, we've seen some showers roll through for most of the island. Today, a little bit of a break through central, but that cold front is on its way through. And in behind that, those winds will shift northerly. And like we saw that drop in temperatures on the west coast, that will happen through central as well. So as we continue through the night, expect that cold front to keep on trekking east. And then we'll see the definitely cold air up across Labrador. So the potential for some flurries will continue tonight for you. Otherwise, we should see some clearing skies for a good chunk of the island, good chunk of Labrador through the night, with some showers working their way towards the west coast as we head into the early morning hours again on your Saturday. Temperatures tonight will hang out somewhere between 0 and +2. For Labrador. Winds will be a little breezy out of the west, around 30 to 50 kilometers per hour for those of you in Lab West, and then across the island. Generally, those winds will be westerly as well. Temperatures down to about 6 degrees in Corner Brook tonight, single digits through central as well. And then the winds will eventually shift for the Avalon to northwesterly. They'll be gusting somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, but the temperature should hang out around 10 degrees for the Avalon through the night tonight. As we look ahead to tomorrow, generally, it's not a bad day at all. We're still going to see a mix of sun and cloud through the day. However, it will be unsettled. So you'll see those big puffy clouds with some shower chances as we head into the afternoon tomorrow. For the majority of the island, another cold day expected for those of you in Lab West, and that means that the potential for some flurries will stick around as well. Now, most of well, pretty much the rest of Labrador, it'll be a little bit too warm to snow, but I think potentially in the upper or higher elevations, you may see some wet flurries, but for the most part, it'll just be a mix of sun and cloud and those shower chances through your Saturday, at least to start. And then again, that cooler air filtering in across the island, so your temperatures tomorrow will feel much different than today. We're looking at between 9 to 11 degrees on the west coast through central and east, somewhere between 13 to 15 degrees. And again, winds will be out of the west tomorrow. So you're looking at between 40 to 50 kilometer per hour wind gusts. Up across Labrador, single digits for most. Mary's Harbour, you'll hover just barely at the 10-degree mark tomorrow. Again, a mix of sun and cloud with that chance of showers. Lab West 4 or 5 degrees tomorrow, a little breezy as well. Northwesterlies 40 to 60. So your flurries will stick around. I'll get into your long-range forecast coming up a little later.
Let's welcome your 2025-2026 inaugural Newfoundland Regiment.
Well, it was a big night at the Mary Brown Centre last night. The Newfoundland Regiment hockey team hosted the first Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League game in St. John's in more than 16 years. And the regiment didn't let down the hometown crowd. They beat the Moncton Wildcats 7-5 in a tough back-and-forth game. The two teams are back on the ice tonight.
Hey, look at this, Seth. 50-50s, $37,770.
My mom won the 50-50.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking. My mom won the 50-50. Oh my gosh.
We need a Big Mary.
David just came up and showed me. My mom won the jackpot. No way. What an opening night.
You just got 3 new suits. Maybe you can go get 3 more.
Oh my gosh.
What a great moment last night. That 17-year-old Seth Hyde on what was already a very special night for him, his first night on the job, calling the play-by-play for the Newfoundland Regiment. But as you heard, his mom, Jackie, won the 50-50 draw. She takes home half of that $37,000 jackpot, so almost $19,000. Now, Karma may have worked some magic there. For the past year or so, the Hyde family has been busy fundraising for others. Jackie's husband, Darren, has early onset Alzheimer's. He was diagnosed at age 56. The family has been sharing their experience and holding fundraisers. In February, they raised over $30,000 for the Alzheimer's Society. Now, Jackie says she's been buying 50-50 tickets at hockey games for years, but never won a thing. She says she'll put aside some money for Seth's education and do some much-needed repairs around the home. Well, the Department of Transportation is advising motorists of a temporary road closure as part of the final phase of the Team Guzhou Highway construction. The department says the section of road connecting Commonwealth Avenue in Mount Pearl to the Robert E. Howlett Highway will be closed starting Monday, September 22nd. This will include the underpass portion of the road. Crews will be completing the construction of a new roundabout in that area. The department says the closure is expected to last around 6 weeks, and you can find more information at nl511.ca or on the NL511 mobile app. Well, if you're on the highway this weekend, keep an eye out for a man on a bicycle chasing a dream. The CBC's Zach Gowdy has more.
But does it get lonely?
Not really, because you have a lot to see in this country. It's so big and beautiful lakes and beautiful mountains, and you will never get lonely, I guess.
It's that kind of attitude that's helped Akash Sidhu make it all the way to Newfoundland and Labrador from his home in Vancouver, one pedal stroke at a time. Sidhu is nearing the completion of a cross-country bicycle trip. CBC News caught up with him earlier this week just outside of Deer Lake on the island's west coast. At that time, he said he'd been biking for 99 days and was just a few days away from his personal finish line, the lighthouse in Cape Spear, the eastern tip of Canada. Sidhu says a trip like this had been on his mind for years, but one day he decided to turn his dream into a goal.
Like I said, I was thinking of it from last 5 or 6 years, and now it was like I should do this, because 5 or 6 years ago I lost my father, and from that incident I learned a thing like life is too short. So I want to push my limits. I want to see like how far I can go, but so far I'm loving it, and it was also my dream, so I'm living it now, so that's amazing. Yeah.
Sidhu says he's been working overtime for 3 years, driving an Uber for 12 hours a day to save the money for this trip. To keep costs down, he's been camping along the way and cooking his own food, apart from the occasional Tim stop. Sidhu says the ride was not easy, especially on the hot summer days. But he's been drawing strength from his wife back home in Vancouver, and he says he's finding lots of strength out on the road, especially from his fellow Punjabi Canadians.
Like I have a poster behind my cycle, right? And it's written Punjabi. So whenever any truck driver or any people from my community see that thing, like Punjabi, they stop, they encourage me, they give me food, and they ask me about the trip. So that thing, I think it helps a lot.
So if you're out on the highway in eastern Newfoundland over these next few days, you may see Akash Sidhu cruising towards his dream. Zach Gowdy, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the town of St. Lawrence will have another chance to go down in the history books starting this weekend. Aerospace startup Nordspace will attempt to test out its Tega rocket from the St. Lawrence spaceport. The company tried to complete the launch in August, but was thwarted by weather conditions and a technical glitch. The first launch window opens tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. local time, and they will have 2 opportunities every day until next Saturday, September 27th. If the company is successful, it will be the first time a commercial rocket has launched from a Canadian port. Well, the Prime Minister has wrapped up his trip to Mexico. Mark Carney and the Mexican president announced a new economic and security agreement. Now the attention turns to trade with the United States. Evan Dyer is traveling with the Prime Minister and has news on the next step.
Well, we learned a little bit of news this morning in Mexico City. Minister Dominic LeBlanc told us that Canada today will officially announce the beginning of its consultation period for the review of COSMA, the new NAFTA, if you like, known in the U.S. as the USMCA. Here in Mexico, they call it TEMEC. This treaty was formalized and entered into effect on July 1st, 2020. It's subject to a 6-year review, so we expect the first formal trilateral meeting around July 1st of next year. But in all 3 countries now, starting 2 days ago in Mexico and the U.S. and starting today, apparently in Canada, companies, individuals, anyone who has a stake really in free trade is going to be invited to make comments about what positions they would like to see their government take. And of course, this meeting was also about coordinating positions, not within Canada, but between Canada and Mexico. 2 countries that are, of course, the junior partners in this arrangement with the much larger American market. 2 parties that have seen efforts in the past by President Donald Trump to drive a wedge between them and divide and rule, if you like, by trying to make separate deals with one or the other. That did happen also in the first Trump term. We're seeing more of a concerted effort by Mexico and Canada to avoid that now after a rocky start in which some Canadian politicians responded to the re-election of President Trump last year by suggesting that Canada should try to go it alone with the U.S. and cut Mexico out of the deal. We're seeing now a concerted effort also not just to coordinate negotiations with the U.S., but also to increase bilateral trade between Mexico and Canada, currently worth about $56 billion a year, which is only about 5% of what Canada trades with the U.S. So there's certainly room for growth, although no one has any illusion that it could ever replace that $1 trillion trade that Canada does with the United States on an annual basis. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Mexico City.
Well, some cities are taking matters into their own hands to try and solve the family doctor shortage. They're putting them on the municipal payroll. Christine Birak visited Colwood, British Columbia to see how and why that works.
When the last family doctor left Colwood, BC, the mayor didn't just look for replacements. He got input and reimagined the job. What if family doctors didn't just work in the city, but for the city? His plan to make them city employees with a salary, pension, and benefits is turning heads across the country, and it could reshape how cities attract and, importantly, retain family doctors.
This is something that a city, a municipality would not normally do. You know,
healthcare is a provincial responsibility, but cities feel the weight of crowded ERs and struggling families. While many cities try to attract family doctors, Colwood's offering is unique.
Vacation covered.
Correct.
Sick days.
Yes.
And admin staff.
Absolutely.
And that's all under the city.
Absolutely.
He's turning family doctors into city employees. That means when a doctor sees a patient, the city bills the province and collects payment. The city covers the clinic costs. Doctors earn a salary plus full employee benefits, including a pension worth over $2.5 million over 30 years.
Good morning, Colwood Clinic.
With the help of a pharmacy owner, the Colwood Clinic opened in February. It can house 8 family doctors. 3 have signed contracts so far, coming from the U.S., Europe, and 1 from Ontario. Dr. Cassandra Stiller trained as a family doctor in Ontario, but didn't have a family practice, which involves running a small business.
With this model, it's all taken care of. Basically, show up to work, your patients are ready to see you.
Patients like Sheila Eldridge couldn't be more grateful.
It was a very emotional experience for me to finally get the relief of having that physician to look after us.
I think Colwood nailed it.
In Orillia, Ontario, about 1 in 3 don't have a doctor. The city has space to open its own clinic, but not the money to pay upfront costs.
We haven't given up on that idea, and we're still looking for alternatives in terms of how to get there.
This health policy expert says not every city can afford to build a clinic. It's the province's job to provide people care based on need, not wealth.
It's important for any community to have family doctors. I think the question is whether it's city's job to find them.
Colwood's mayor feels like he has no choice. He hopes to connect 10,000 residents with family doctors within 5 years. Christine Birak, CBC News, Colwood, British Columbia.
Well, late-night TV hosts are banding together to support Jimmy Kimmel. ABC suspended Kimmel's show after he commented on the MAGA reaction to the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. As Eli Glasner explains, the worry now is that networks will fold even more to pressure from the Trump administration.
After ABC suspended Kimmel's show, comedians are ringing the alarm bell.
This is what authoritarianism looks like. Look, if they can come for Kimmel, they can come for anybody.
It's more than just a notable moment. It's a scary moment.
Bill Carter writes about late-night television and has followed the Nexstar Media Group, which operates dozens of ABC affiliate stations, and was the first to announce it was preempting Kimmel.
Who are they? Why are they important? Well, they're a big station group which had reached the maximum allowed by law.
To keep growing, Carter says they need Washington to change the law.
So they have a gigantic vested interest in making the Trump administration happy.
Nexstar was followed by Sinclair, another major owner of many affiliates, who announced they would not air Kimmel. That put pressure on Disney-owned ABC itself, all responding to the FCC's threat. and the power Washington wields.
So they're all struggling with that. And then there are a few big companies, and I would say each and every one of those big companies has some vulnerability to being hobbled by this administration.
Led by a president who just days ago threatened an ABC reporter asking about the Department of Justice's push to go after hate speech.
We'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC.
ABC is just one of Trump's targets. CBS paid $16 million to settle a lawsuit with Trump over how 60 Minutes edited an interview with Kamala Harris.
Before we start the show, I want to let
Then there's Stephen Colbert. In July, CBS decided to end the most popular show in late night, hosted by the vocal Trump critic.
I hear Jimmy Kimmel is next. Nope, no, absolutely not Kimmel. I am the martyr.
1 week after the announcement, Washington approved the merger of CBS owner Paramount with Skydance. With a new $15 billion lawsuit launched at the New York Times, the cuts to funding hurting NPR and PBS, and the president already taking aim at other late-night hosts sharing on social media, that leaves Jimmy and Seth. Do it, NBC. Hollywood watchers say the threat of more action is already having a chilling effect.
So there's a feeling of dread. There's a feeling that the media companies are just bending the knee one after the other. And where does this stop?
Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Congratulations to Jerry and Austin Pomeroy, who are celebrating their 54th anniversary Tuesday. Happy anniversary to Gordon and Patsy Yetman. They're marking 55 years of marriage. Anniversary greetings going out to Raymond and Shirley Pelly of Gander. They've been married for 70 years. Happy 50th anniversary to Sharon and Wayne Cormier of Stephenville Crossing. Wishing Mary and Jeremiah Osmond of Channel Port-aux-Basques a happy 60th anniversary. Anniversary greetings going out to Cyril and Sandra Walsh of Ferryland, who are celebrating their 58th anniversary. Happy 63rd anniversary to Cliff and Nina Wellen of Gander. Congratulations to Edmund and Shirley Rowe of Chance Cove on their 62nd anniversary. Wishing Harry and Kay Smith of Placentia happy 58th anniversary. Happy 56th anniversary to Roland and Myrtle Hodder of Rock Harbor. Happy 55th anniversary to Jim and Bridget Welsh of Carbonear. Congratulations to Angus and Norma Vallis of Harbour Breton on their 59th anniversary. Happy 54th wedding anniversary to Eddie and Peg Michelin of Happy Valley Goose Bay. Wishing Joshua and Shirley Rose of Grey River a happy 53rd anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary to Hubert and Suzanne Ingram of Port-aux-Basques. Congratulations to David and Susan Moss, who are celebrating their 61st anniversary today. Now to some birthdays. Happy birthday to Annie O'Rourke from Admiral's Beach, now living in St. John's. She turned 94 yesterday. Happy birthday to Fanny Badcock of Shearstown, who just turned 91. Birthday greetings going out to Marion Dober in Spanish Room. She turned 90 on Monday. Happy 90th birthday also to Rose Gillum from Curling and Dunville, now living in Mount Pearl. Best wishes to Teresa Bruce of St. John's, who turns 98 on Sunday. Wishing Naomi Meadus a happy 92nd birthday. She's from New Perlican and now lives in Paradise. Happy 94th birthday yesterday to Rodney Ford of Port-aux-Basques. Pearl Rousel of Roberts Arm is celebrating her 94th birthday today. Happy 92nd birthday to Ernest Wheeler of Mount Pearl. And fun fact, his first child and last child were both born on his birthday. How about that? Well, happy birthday to Harry Upward of Harry's Harbor, who is celebrating his 93rd birthday. Wishing Nellie Maloney a happy 96th birthday on Sunday. She's from Sweet Bay, but now lives in Kelligrews. Happy 91st birthday yesterday to Pearl Buckle of Forto, Labrador. Albert Burgess is turning 96 this Sunday. He's from St. John's. And Helen Bartlett is celebrating her 95th birthday on Sunday. She's from Colliers, but now lives in St. John's. Happy birthday. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again to everyone who's celebrating. And so the weekend's here, and look ahead now to Sunday, and things are cooling down just in time for fall to begin.
Yeah, so the weekend's going to feel not too bad. In fact, it'll be cooler for sure. But yeah, fall officially arrives on Monday. Let's take a look at what's going on weather-wise. So Saturday evening will be a little bit unsettled, but by the time we get into Sunday, looking pretty decent, actually. Sunshine will be the story across the island. Labrador is still looking a tad unsettled with some periods of cloud cover through the morning and afternoon, and then the chance of some showers as well. And then towards the coast, a better chance of some showers later on in the day. But overall, the daytime highs will be sitting somewhere between 12 to as much as 14 degrees across the island, single digits for the coast of Labrador as well as Lab West. Then the upper Lake Melville area, you're looking at your temperatures around 14 degrees into Sunday. Now into Monday, which is the first day of fall, temperatures are actually going to warm up a little bit. It'll be beautiful, a nice stretch of weather for parts of the island anyway. We will see some cloud cover along the south coast of the island, and then eventually that will work its way a little bit further north. So likely just be high cloud, but still that's what you're looking at. And then for Labrador, you're looking at some showers through the day, pretty much across the board, scattered showers, and your temperatures are going to be sitting in the Single digits towards the coast, somewhere between 10 to 13 degrees for the rest of the Big Land. And then there's that warm up that I was talking about. This is a little bit above where we should be sitting this time of year. About 17 to 19 degrees for most, with the exception of the Northern Peninsula. You'll be seeing your daytime high somewhere between 12 to as much as 14 degrees through the day. Now, if we take a look at the long range forecast, our temperatures are actually going to be sitting in the teens Monday, well, really across the board, but upper teens, mid to upper teens Monday and Tuesday, and a fairly nice stretch of weather. Now, we'll start to see some more clouds move in by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, but overall pretty decent. And overnight, our overnight lows are going to be sitting between 7 and 9 degrees. Now for Central, you are also looking at your temperatures into the teens, a little cooler by the time we get into Wednesday, though dropping to about 13 with a few showers on tap for you, and then single digit lows overnight. Same thing for Western Newfoundland, although you'll see your showers a little earlier on Tuesday, about 18 degrees. And then that drop in temperatures will come on Wednesday at about 15. Labrador, at least in the east, beautiful stretch of weather. Look at that. It's gorgeous. 12 to 14 degrees as your daytime highs, with plenty of sunshine in the forecast overnight, though. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday going to be fairly chilly, about 1 or 2 degrees. And then for Western Labrador, we'll say goodbye to the chance of some flurries by Sunday. It'll just be some showers and then some dry weather Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with your temperatures slowly warming as we get into midweek. Our weather photo of the day, or let's just say our viewer photo of the day in Port Rexton today. I guess it's weather related. There's some dew on the berries there. Beautiful time of the year, isn't it?
It is. It is. I have not been out blueberry picking this year. How are the blueberries out there?
Delicious.
I've heard that there are a lot of blueberries.
Yeah, there's quite a few. Yeah. And if you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us through this weekend, we'd love to see them. You can send them to my Facebook page or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Yes, as we watch the colors change.
That's right. Lots of leaves changing.
Yeah, so it's that time to capture some beautiful photos. Yeah. Please send them along to us. We'd love to see them. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Good night.